Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor whose voice is failing. I'm going to be reviewing the album Time Skiffs by Animal Collective, but I may be a little Jeb Bush on this one. I am sick. A member of my family has COVID, even though I've been vaccinated 3 times, because triples is best, triples is safe. Even though I wear an N95 everywhere I go, there's just no getting around Omicron. So, I'm excited to talk about this album, and I'm going to try to push through my physical discomfort and my weird radio disc jockey voice to talk about this album, and to talk about my relationship with not only this band, but the space of time in which this band was most popular. So, part of what I do on this channel is, I don't give reactions, I don't give grades, I give thoughts. That's what I like to say, And with something like this, it's hard for me to really gauge what my thoughts are on this music. It's certainly not negative, but it's a weird kind of positive. A couple of years ago, back in the infancy of my channel, I did a review of the Panda Bear album, Buoys. And it's not very, it's okay. It's okay for one of my early videos. But it was the closest I ever got to a negative video by just saying that, it's not my thing, but I recognize that it's good. Well, this is my thing. I certainly like this much more than I liked the Panda Bear album, but we still have the same problem of this gigantic gap in my knowledge. And I talk about this a lot on the channel, but between 2002 and 2019, 18, I didn't pay any attention to music. So while Animal Collective was recreating rock and roll and rebirthing psychedelia and all that stuff, I was having kids. I was going to grad school, It's interesting. I read their biography, and it turns out they met at a Waldorf school, which is kind of cool. I have a friend who has kids in Waldorf school. You have the same teachers, like kindergarten through high school. So that does indicate a certain level of bond, which I could imagine would be very positive in a band. And you definitely feel this band is very bonded. Even though this is the first Animal Collective album I've ever listened to, I really feel the bond and the strength between them. Another note was that they also they met the rest of the band at NYU. And I don't know, we just got to start discounting celebrities who went to NYU. It just seems like such an unfair geographical advantage. We're sort of living in this tyranny of NYU kids because they get to be so close to the action while being surrounded by like-minded people, most of whom have a lot of dispensable income and parents who encourage their creativity. I don't know. But just whenever you think about the number of NYU bands, NYU actors, it can be a little discouraging. But what is this album? What is this band like? When I listen to it, without doing any research, without asking my auditors what they think, I really heard a lot of Grateful Dead, which surprised me. I've discussed this on the channel before. I was a Deadhead for a period of time. I was a straight-edge Deadhead in the 90s. So, I like the Grateful Dead a lot, and I get a lot of that kind of jammy, loose feeling here, along with this group that really likes to work together. I get a lot of sense of the Beach Boys as well and their production, where there's an emphasis on harmony and sort of experimenting. I'm going to chalk that one up to my sickness. Experimenting is not a word. You can put in the comments what you think experimenting means. Experimenting. Damn, COVID. But in addition to the Dead and the Beach Boys, which since having listened to this and looked them up a little bit, turns out those are pretty standard comparisons, I hear a lot of They Might Be Giants. And I understand They Might Be Giants is kind of an outlier band, kind of a nerdcore band, a band who I like very much. But there's something about the goofiness and the singer, the way Panda Bear sounds when he sings, reminds me strongly of them. And then another comparison, a band that started after they did, My Morning Jacket, with a kind of modern, hippie-ish indie spiritualism. One which I would say kind of goes back to the kind of semi-spiritualism of a figure like George Harrison. The main thing I'll say about this album that I love, and by the way, this review is now longer than my Panda Bear review. I used to think back in the old days that if they lasted more than 5 minutes, no one would watch. It's true. The main thing this album has going for it is just an atmosphere. I mean, it has just got all the way through such a wonderfully consistent, spacey, layered atmosphere. It's all driven, this whole album, as far as I can tell, is completely driven by the drums. I just learned that the drums are played by Panda Bear, which I didn't even know, you know. But it's clear that the drummer is a leader in this band. And you just sort of end up in this very well layered atmosphere to the point where even though I don't necessarily love this album, like I want to keep listening to it, like I want to buy it so that I can listen to it, so I can have it as a sort of background in my life. It's funny like that. And I think maybe that's tying into the Grateful Dead as well, where it's not so much that I like their music as much as I like listening to their music, which is an odd distinction, but I think you get me. Oh, you might be wondering where I am. I'm in my son's room. I'm quarantining up here to keep everybody safe. Lyrically, they're kind of a tough band to pin down. A lot of it seems to be these kind of hippy-dippy, live-in-the-moment feelings. It kind of goes along with what almost like a massage room aesthetic, like lots of like rain sticks and bloopy sounds. And mixed in with that is just sort of live in the moment. Death is all around us, but we can live through it. Again, that's sort of George Harrison-y, My Morning Jacket-y, spiritual-ish side. But it's nice. It doesn't feel too preachy. It doesn't feel too annoying. In general, the lyrics are kind of buried. At times, I even compare this to sort of like a dream pop album, if that makes sense. Like, because it sets this atmosphere so well that you can feel like you're sort of in a dream. Now, what's funny is, in rewatching my Panda Bear review, I said that they were just very simple songs with just stuff put on top of it. Just random layers. And I think that's what this album is a lot too. You know, a lot of these songs are just like one or two chords, just kind of going back and forth. But it's this production that's so interesting, that's so well made. The way I think of it is like there's like a glaze over the entire album with these choruses and these layers and this reverb and like bubbling sounds and dropping sounds and dripping sounds. You're always sort of in this atmosphere, which is what I think makes it so good. So I did put out a call to my auditors who said, get well soon. Thank you. I'll try. Just sort of saying, what should I know before I review this? Taylor Givens said something which I really appreciate. He says, listen to how four very distinct musical forces create a pastiche of all their styles into one song without losing their individuality. You can diagram down to each note who contributed what. To that, I say, cool. I don't know any of these guys' styles. I know one of them is named like Tearaweight. One of them's called Panda Bear. Another one's like, I don't even know the names of the other two guys. So I find this fascinating that their super fans like it enough that they can do that. They can go in and they can dissect it. That hints at something that I like to say a lot. Matter of fact, I put it on my coffee mug in my store. Ignorance is profound. My ignorance of Animal Collective is profound. This is my first album listening to them. But there's something freeing about that ignorance. There's something joyful in that. And there is something profound in that ignorance. Not just that there's a lot I don't know, but I can just come to this and just experience it and have it be my first, Joe in the comment section emphasizes that this is late career Animal Collective, that this is not representative of their halcyon days when they were changing everything, and apparently they changed their styles a lot, and they lost fans, and they gained fans, and they had a whole big movement. All these things, I don't know. I was raising kids. I wasn't paying attention. So I'm coming to this with the innocence of a child, with the innocence of somebody who just picks up a Beatles album for the first time, and it's like, the White Album, cool, and puts it on. I also want to thank Orbit 2, who gave me a brief history of the band, which helped me to better contextualize it, and told me that one member just does sound effects. And that makes sense. That actually helped me to understand the band better where there's somebody who primarily just does sound effects. Because there's a lot of sound effects. That's one of the layers in here. God, I don't like looking at myself because I look like I'm sick. I'm in my bathrobe, got this ASMR voice going. The stamp of the album, what I think to be the best song, and this is a testament to the album. It's hard to pick one. There's so many good songs on this album. Is the song Car Keys. I'll include a link to it up there under the AT-AT. So Car Keys is cool. It starts off with this metal grating. I guess that's the sound effects guy. Very cool psychedelic sounds. And then it just gets really fun and playful. These keyboards whirling all around, panning left to right, but always with an anchor of these drums. These drums that are just going and just playing so well. So many layers. This great glaze. Along with this They Might Be Giant style singing. Interesting lyrics. Wrinkled papers on the sidewalk. Mess when they blow over. Fault of no one. A super cool, catchy chorus, maybe the catchiest chorus here. How are we doing now? How are we going to know? These kinds of semi-spiritual, semi-big questions. But then there's a great psychedelic breakdown in the middle of this. Reminded me a little bit of almost like a Doors breakdown, like in the middle of Break On Through or Riders in the Storm, just kind of like a cool jam space. And I don't know what this band is like live, but I'm going to try to see them in concert. I don't care if I've never heard their other 11 albums or whatever it is. Like just hearing this space, the way this band syncs together, the way they create these songs with this space for a jam, I'm positive they're great in concert. Positive. And I've only said like 2 good things about them so far. The album opens up. I'm going to go through the rest of the album a little bit quicker now, with a song called Dragon Slayer, which reminds me a lot of the Grateful Dead song Fire on the Mountain, just in its sort of simplicity, almost island vibes. But there's a lot of great production details here, a sort of reverse sound on the verse. Great shuffling, super well mixed drums, zooming keyboards, and even the chorus reminds me a fair amount of a Grateful Dead chorus, where it kind of like leads into a very powerful kind of emphatic chorus. And then in the post-chorus, there's space for a jam. There's like a zither in the second verse. The lyrics, they get kind of lost. They do. But, that's part of psychedelic music. Like, I don't think if you're a psychedelic band, I think it's a detriment if you have great lyrics, if you're a psychedelic band. I think you need good lyrics. They can't be, like, super goofy, But, like, Tame Impala or King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard or these guys, like, you want to find a sort of sweet spot where, like, things are meaningful, but you don't sit and weep and try to figure out how to create a college class on how to teach their lyrics. I saw a red kite fly. Was it held by an anchor? I saw a red kite burn. I saw a string go astray. Visual, evocative. What does it all mean? I don't know. Next song was Car Keys, which I already discussed. Next song after that is Prester John, which is maybe the best song on the album. I couldn't decide between this and Car Keys. A cool kind of like drum beat with like these reverb sounds behind it. Again, very led by the drums. Awesome beat to open. It's just cute. It's likable. Every time I listen to this album again, I like this song more and more. Simple chords. Again, very simple chords, but met with great harmonies, with great layering, with great musicianship, and some more of this kind of enlightenment light lyrics. Here's a little tip: how to look at what is really living, treating every day as an image of a moment that has passed. Perfect psychedelic lyrics. I really like the voices together at the end. I guess I wish there was more harmony on this album. There's a fair amount, but I'd like to hear them singing more together, because every time they sing together, it's kind of exciting and it gives a certain charge to it. And I think they maybe were a little too restrained in that. So I love it. As towards the end of the song, we have them singing together, some great guitar sounds, keyboards that lead into just an odd outro. Maybe that's the sound effects guy, just being like, hey, I've got to do my thing. Well, they're from Baltimore. What's a Baltimore accent? I don't even know. I watched The Wire and I read Edgar Allan Poe. But I don't know. Man, I don't know if I have COVID. I'll find out soon. Whatever I have, talking is not fun. Give me a like. Smash the like bucket for that one. Playing through the pain. This is the flu game. Jordan. Strung with everything. Cool kind of odd, warm sounds to open up the song. This has that rain stick. again, like a rain stick should never be in any music ever, but yet somehow Animal Collective pulls it off. Kicks off in sort of like a goofy song with a sitar sound. You know, I like that St. Vincent album, but I'm never happy when the sitar comes on. I like, you know, mid-era Beatles. I'm never really that happy when the sitar comes on. I like Ravi Shankar. I went to Ravi Shankar's daughter's concert. It's not like I don't like sitar, but the mixture of sitar and rock is often, sort of always ends up, to me, sounding a little bit like Listen to the Flower People by Spinal Tap. But the Thamesmen, I think they were called at the time. But still, it doesn't ruin the entire song. Kind of a weird, jokey chorus where it seems like they're straining to get all the words in. I've got this world, I built a thing and it does. I do believe there's a conscious in things. I don't believe in time. More kind of spiritual lyrics. The sun is no better off lately. I like this idea, this kind of philosophical question of like the well-being of the sun. You know, we worry so much about the earth, but the sun's fine. The end bit has cool kind of Beach Boys feel here, again more that kind of harmony here, and just so much joy in the drumming. That's probably my favorite thing about the album, is that not only is the drummer leading everything, but there's just like a joy to his drum beats. They don't feel belabored, they feel light and powerful. The next song is called Walker, to which I said, is that like after Johnny Walker, the whiskey, Paul Walker, the actor? I did some research, it's after Scott Walker, the musician. Starts off with like just right, like no intro, just right into some lyrics, which is rare for this album. Really simple guitar lines, but with some nice layering by a xylophone or maybe a vibraphone, I can't tell. The vibraphone or the xylophone is just going crazy behind. I mean, like basically it's like a full solo behind here. The lyrics are about death, and they're nice. They're about sending someone off to heaven. Go and take a load off, put the baggage down, going where the ears won't deceive. It's almost a spiritual song. You know, maybe I'm conscious of this stuff right now because, you know, I most likely have a disease that has killed many people. So I'm a little bit more philosophical. But, you know, we do need sort of more songs sending people off. Not regretting that they're gone, but sort of happily sending them off, going where the ears won't deceive. That's an interesting and nice way of framing death. Very odd outro, totally nonsensical. Call your bots thieves. What does this have to do with anything? If you're one of the Animal Collective superfans, you tell me. I'm drinking peppermint tea, by the way. But I couldn't put honey in it. Because in order to get the honey, I would have had to have unscrewed it. And then I would have been like just pawing it, you know. And I don't want to like spread my germs to the family. So I'm just drinking just black peppermint tea. It's rough. Smash that like bucket. Next song is called Cherokee, to which I said, this better be about a car. I don't want any kind, you know, because up until the 90s, hippy-dippy bands, and I guess Neil Young still does it, feel very comfortable co-opting imagery of Native Americans and kind of folding it into their mystical spiritual vision and basically doing what we would call cultural appropriation in these days, but that's not what this is about. Cool kind of swirling sounds all the way through, more shuffling drum beats, layers of haze and glaze. It's almost like a ditty. Very atmospheric, this guitar and reverb. It turns out the song's about traveling and about feeling like an alien in the United States. I think this might be tied in not just the fact that they're like kooky wooky rock stars, but also maybe the Waldorf experience as well, I think. You know, I think if you grow up and you have such a different upbringing, it might make you feel like you can't relate to people who have had a more normal upbringing. That's the sense that I get. At the Exxon, they were confused if I was American, and so I left offended with a pack of M&Ms. You know, an interesting idea, I think. I think it's a really interesting idea, the way that he says that. And I have at times felt that way too, where it's like, just because I have a advanced degree and an appreciation for other cultures, does that mean I am not American enough to buy a bag of M&Ms at this Flying J truck stop? But, you know, probably nobody cares. Probably nobody's looking at you. But it turns out Cherokee is the town where this guy lives in North Carolina, so that was it. So he talked about, like, driving in a Jeep Cherokee and being in Cherokee, and at no point was he trying to say, like, I'm on a vision quest, which is nice. Passerby is the only song I don't like on the album. I just don't like it. I mean, it's cool because it uses a China Boy symbol, which is just a great symbol. And I like the drums on here. They even sound almost reversed, even though they're not. It's the most dream poppy songs. There's some interesting interaction between like the cadence of the voice and the drums. But I don't know. There's something about the repeating the term passerby over and over again. It just feels a little too precious, a little too annoying. I mean, I guess when I talk about the way the drums and the voice interact with each other, that's actually pretty good. So maybe I'll take back not liking it. But it's definitely my least favorite song on the album. Next song is We Go Back. Opens up with almost like the sound of a clock. You know, ding dong, ding dong, dong dong, ding dong. They use kind of variation of that, which sets the tone for the rest of the song. Just has all these kind of counterpoint notes going off of each other, layers and layers of voices, even some auto tunes. It seems to be maybe about the band itself. Over and over, our song in my brain, I go back, we go back, and I play it again. You know, it could be that it's about the band. That is the thing that happens when bands get older. They start singing a lot of songs about the band that they're in, because it's like most of their life at that point. The album ends with Royal and Desire, another song that manages to use rain sticks without sucking. Just lots of gentle layers and sweetness. The voice here reminds me most of My Morning Jacket in probably a positive way, and just the lyrics as well, reminding me of George Harrison-esque spirituality. Some saxophone at points, and just really beautiful and nice. So there's my introduction to Animal Collective. You know, you can tell me again what I should listen to if I like this. I don't know when they're playing around me, and I have tickets to see Billie Eilish on Saturday, and I don't think I'm going. So that sucks. I mean, I'm not as disappointed as my daughter is, but probably fairly close. Just as a reminder, vaccines, masks, it's not about freedom, it's about humanity. Until next time, where I'm going to be reviewing the Hippocampus album. Hopefully I'll feel well enough to give my full review there. I might still be in my son's frankly awesome room. Have you ever seen a poster cooler than that Lego poster? It's like a Lego gunship from episode 2. Man. Cool. Until next time, there's the camera.